What up?
Yo, what's good? What's good?
Hold on, let me put on my motherfucking headphones because I don't hear shit. What's up, my man?
What's up, brother?
Chilling. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Damn, so IG got you in jail, huh?
Yeah.
Those bastards. Okay, well, yeah, they're weird, man. They're weird. They flag certain things. I don't even know who controls it, but you gotta roll with the punches, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so I was saying before you came in, right? So the topic of today was we're going to talk about, I call these time machine matchups, right? Because we're not talking about pound for pound. We're talking about if we put them both in a time machine, right? And they fought each other, Ali or Lenox Lewis. We're talking about who would win, right? Is that where we're going with it? Or you want to go pound for pound?
And they prime.
Okay. So first off, what's Ali's prime to you? We're talking 64 pre-suspension?
Before the suspension in the 60s.
Okay. The dude who whooped Cleveland Williams' ass and Sonny Liston?
That guy.
Okay. So Muhammad Ali was 6'3" ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
You ever meet him in person?
Yeah, but he was, obviously,
It was,
the Alzheimer's and, all of that.
okay. When did you meet him? What year was that?
Oh, I don't remember. It was the Harlem Shake Ali.
Okay. So he was about 6'3", 215 around, 250 pounds. So what makes you think that the dude 6'3", 215 back in the 60s, right? We're talking sports science is nowhere near as evolved as now.
That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. You can throw all that science bullshit out the window.
Why?
Muhammad Ali was a one-in-a-lifetime, unique, phenomenal talent.
Okay. But what's he going to do with somebody who's 6'6", 250?
How tall was Ali?
Ali was 6'3"-ish.
Okay, talking about a 3-inch difference.
Right. But
we talking about a guy, and listen, I got nothing but love and respect for Lenox Lewis. He, like I said, he was a guest on Mad TV. We did a skit together, and I recognize him as one of the greats. But we talking about a guy, who's flat-footed against a guy like Ali, who dances on his feet and on his toes, who could go 15 rounds as opposed to Lennox's era that only went 12. We're talking about a guy in Ali that had supreme stamina and a granite chin that could take a punch, as opposed to Lenox, who never had a chin. We're talking about a guy with far superior foot speed, hand speed, head movement, and a quick jab. You can't hit what you can't catch. There's no way you're going to convince me that a heavier Lenox Lewis is going to be able to catch a Muhammad Ali that fought Cleveland Williams. That guy beats anybody.
all right. Well, you have a lot of points. I don't think Ali could use that jab on somebody's. Lennox was a master at distance. Ali, it's so much harder for Ali to catch him and reach him because of that size discrepancy.
It's harder for Ali to catch Lenox?
To be able, because you're talking, Ali dancing, popping the jab, that's all well and good, but Lennox was so much longer and rangier.
So I'm trying to understand what you're saying, though. So you're telling me that with Ali's ability to move in and out, foot speed, hand speed, he's not going to dance around Lenox and pop that jab. He also could fight going backwards, and with the ability with such hand speed and throw those combinations like that, you see Lenox Lewis beat Muhammad Ali in a 15-round fight. I think Ali wins on points easy.
Well, if we're doing 50, but it's almost like this. You ever see the old thing where a tall guy puts his hand on the forehead and the little guy's trying to hit him and he can't?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. There's a reach discrepancy, so it's way harder for Ali to actually reach and land and get to Lenox, who was a master at keeping his distance, popping his jab. It's just a size thing. Now, if they were the same size, you might have a point. But I think just the size discrepancy because of eras, right? Ali's time, you didn't have 6'6" dudes, 250 that moved like Lenox back in the 60s.
Lenox was not fast.
He was pretty. He wasn't like Ali fast, but he was pretty fast. What, you thought he was slow?
I mean, when you talk about fast fighters and you think about Roy Jones, Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, we talk about guys with speed. Lennox wasn't known for speed. Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
Lennox wasn't known for speed, foot speed or hand speed.
Yeah, he wasn't exceedingly fast, but he was able to control the range. That's the biggest thing here. I think it would be so hard for Ali to get in. So hard. You know what I'm saying? Because
Lennox could control the range, but he was also fighting dudes that weren't exceptionally fast themselves. We talking about a guy in Muhammad Ali who in his prime was like a Lamborghini.
True. He was fast. He was super fast. I think, and you had mentioned something before about Lennox's chin, and I want to touch on that. He got slept twice, right? Hassan Rahman was a good friend of mine, and Oliver McCall, right? They knocked him out one punch. But Lenox Lewis's chin, I don't think is as bad as people say, because he was getting battered by Ray Mercer. He was getting so many dudes hit him, and he didn't go anywhere. Of course, we remember the 2 times where it was one punch out. But Lennox's chin wasn't as bad as people say.
Well, I always measure it up to, like, when you look at Mike Tyson's losses. When Mike was KO'd, he had to get beat up. You didn't hit Mike with one shot and Mike was out. He had to get beat up. Roy Jones, we found out when Roy Jones slowed down, he didn't have a chin because both his knockouts were one-hitter quitters. Glenn Coffey, Antonio Tarver.
Yeah. I mean, no, and that breaks my heart because Roy's my favorite fighter of all time. And I really think that's a whole psychological aspect too. I feel like, people don't realize Roy had so much mileage on him. He started boxing at like 8, and at that point he was 36. But whatever. You're right. That was weird because Roy took some shots throughout his career and he didn't go anywhere. Then just like that, his punch resistance had gone.
Is the ones that Glenn Coffey and Antonio Tarver hit him with? Because that was right on the button.
You remember a fighter who dropped him named Lou Del Valle, a New York dude?
No.
A Puerto Rican dude. Anyway, I'm cool. He knocked Roy down. That was the only time Roy had ever been knocked down before his decline. Now, Roy got hit clean from a few fighters and just wouldn't go anywhere. I don't know, but I don't think Lennox's chin is as bad, but I really believe that with this Ali and Lennox conversation, the eras, I always tell people when they come with me with that kind of shit, I say, I can't compare eras because the advancements, the size differences, like it's almost like that's why Tyson Fury, I think, is a bit of a cheat code because only now do we see dudes who are 6'9" and can move like that.
You think Tyson Fury is a fast dude?
He's fast, but for 6'9", especially, he's pretty. I mean, did you see him fight Usyk?
Yeah, but again, when you look at guys that are flat-footed fighters versus an Ali who literally fought on his toes and could dance and could move and bob and weave and like again, how do you like Ali's famous saying, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee? How you gonna hit what you can't catch?
Yeah, but don't forget, Ali was put on the seat of his pants a couple times in his prime too. Like you could catch him, he would just get to you. You know what I mean? He got dropped at least once by this British dude. I forget his name. It's a famous one. And then
Henry Cooper.
Henry Cooper dropped him. And then obviously, and I don't know if you consider this prime Ali, but Frazier.
No, that wasn't prime. It wasn't prime Ali.
You know what's funny? That Ali was only like 30.
Yeah, but with 3 years off, he lost the step.
He did. And I tell people 30 back then is not what 30 is now. Like, you remember that even in the 90s, even in basketball, when you're 30, you're thinking about retirement back then.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you got.
And when you bring up the height difference, again, we're talking about 3 inches.
True.
That's not significant.
It's not, but it depends how you fight. You know what I mean? I think the weight it's almost 40 pounds difference in weight.
Listen, if you were to tell me Lenox Lewis against the Ali after the exile, after the 3 years off, I think this is a completely different conversation. But that Muhammad Ali that fought Cleveland Williams, it's almost like my fantasy fight would be That Ali versus the Tyson that fought Marvis Frazier. You're talking about two devastating performances.
I was about to go to that one next. So you talk about speed. I think Mike Tyson, we're talking Marvis or even up to Spinks, right? That's prime. That Tyson had faster hands and feet than Ali. What do you think? Than prime Ali?
I would agree. You know, I always tell people, man, look, you know, to me, Tyson was always Joe Frazier 2.0. You know, Frazier wasn't as fast as Mike with foot speed and hand speed. He only had power in the left hook, whereas Mike had power in both hands. And I think if those two were to fight each other, my question always became, could Ali go 12 to 15 rounds without getting touched by a guy who's quicker than Joe? If Joe Frazier could touch him, now we're talking about a guy in Tyson who's faster than Joe Frazier and more powerful than Joe Frazier in both hands. So does Ali go 12 to 15 rounds without getting touched? I doubt it. But the scary part is both of them have a chin. Both Mike and Ali had chins. And on the flip side, with Ali's speed and jab and his ability to fight going backwards, he might be able to keep Tyson in enough bay off of him. And I ultimately think Ali wins that fight by points. Barely.
Against Tyson. See, I don't know, because, you know, that old cliche, styles make fights. Ali showed how to have a lot of problems with a fighter who comes forward, moving his head and throwing bombs in Frazier. Now, I know that was an older Ali, and Tyson, like you said, is that but 2.0. I think that style would have given Ali a lot of problems.
Oh, listen, I am such my two favorite fighters, Ali and Tyson, but I am such team Tyson. Like, I love that man to death. So it even pains me to think that he wouldn't win. But again, that Ali that fought Cleveland Williams, Jesus, man, Jesus. The way he throws, it was such a beautiful thing to watch. The way he threw those combinations, that jab and then that overhand right, and with such speed and accuracy, it just, him and Tyson would have been so intriguing.
I just feel like, so Cleveland, by the way, and this is kind of adding to your argument, not mine, but Cleveland, I think, was 6'4". So that's 2 inches shorter than Lenox, right? And it didn't mean anything. But Cleveland would just earmuff and come forward. So obviously it's all, you know, almost like a walking punching bag, but not really. Lenox would be the kind of dude who would move, keep the distance, jab, and drop that right hand and drop it down. And punches that get thrown downwards generate the most amount of force. I think Ali would have had a lot of problems with Lenox keeping him on the end of that long jab and then throwing that straight right. Because remember, Ali's defense, he would move his head back, you know, because he was always.
And then there's that famous clip of the guy who I think maybe threw 5 punches, and Ali just, and all 5 missed. There's no way you're telling me Lenox is catching Ali. That Ali, no fucking way.
But here's the thing. That dude that was throwing punches at Ali was probably 6 inches shorter than Lenox. You know what I'm saying? You can't duck back against a fighter who's taller than you. There's too much range. That's a fact.
But again, Ali's ability to move, you know, and Ali's ring generalship, like, he knew how to work the ring. So he knew how to get out of tight spaces really fast.
Yeah. I mean, who would you say the closest fighter to simulate Ali that Lenox fought? What? Holyfield? I mean, I don't even know who. Who would it be?
No way. No.
Who would it be?
No, not Holyfield. No way.
Probably not.
Holyfield doesn't have Ali's speed.
No, he didn't. No, but he bounced around a lot.
Yeah, a little bit, but not really.
I don't know. I think Lennox's power and speed, and, you know, the fact that he got knocked out twice, I think that's imprinted in people's brains, and they automatically think he has no chin. It takes away a lot from his legacy, the fact that he got knocked out twice. But I like looking beyond that, because look what he did in the rematches to both those guys.
Listen, I don't think Lenox beats a prime Mike Tyson.
You might have a point there.
Kevin Rooney, Mike Tyson, Teddy Atlas, Jimmy Jacobs, Mike Tyson, Customato, Mike Tyson. No way. No way.
I don't know if you know this or if you remember this, but I used to be trained by Kevin Rooney. I lived in his house for a whole 2 years in Catskill. Like I was in that stable. So I learned that style back, forth, up, down, straight up and down like 6 o'clock. And, you know, that style, when he was implementing that style, Mike, before he left Kevin, yeah, very few people in history could have beat him. Maybe nobody.
Yeah, you know, it bothers me when people on the internet go, Mike Tyson's one of the most overrated champions ever, because who did he ever beat? Who was a top five fighter did he ever beat? And when you look at it, it's like all the people that he fought that mattered, Lennox, Holyfield, it was Mike Tyson after prison, who was a shell of himself. You know, I was disappointed Mike never fought Riddick Bowe. That would have been a great fight. You know, I know Foreman was older, but, you know, I would have loved to have seen Tyson with Foreman, you know, just to add some of those names to his legend.
But, you know, I will say this. I grew up, I'm from Hell's Kitchen. I'm from NYC. I used to love Tyson, right? So to give you perspective on but when you hear me say this, I actually kind of agree, because Mike Tyson's prime, in my opinion, was up until what, 89? Is that when he fought Spinks? 88? So he turned pro in 84. So we're talking 4 or 5 years of his prime. And after he lost to James Buster Douglas, he didn't win one mega fight he had. He lost all of them.
Right.
So how can you argue against that? Think about this. He only beat, the only superstars he beat in his career, Mike Tyson, superstars, legends, Larry Holmes, who was older, and Michael Spinks. Who else?
Yeah, listen, it's an unfortunate circumstance because, you know, you play the game of woulda, coulda, shoulda, and a bunch of ifs. But I feel like if you really know, based on the eye test, the gut test, and what you saw in terms of who he was and his performances in his prime, I just don't see Lennox or Holyfield beating that. I don't think anybody beats a prime Mike Tyson. When he was focused and he was with Kevin Rooney and Cuss was alive and he was hungry and he wasn't doing drugs and his head wasn't fucked up, I don't think anybody beats that dude.
So let me ask you this then. What do you think? Because my favorite fighter, Roy Jones, people say the same thing. They go, well, Roy never beat anybody. And then he got knocked out. Do you think it's like Roy's song said? They say I never beat nobody, but I just made him look like nobody.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you agree with that?
Definitely.
Because it's not Tyson's fault or Roy's fault that in their primes, the competition also just wasn't really thick. There wasn't much going on. That's not their fault. They fought everybody who was there.
I always tell people, man, at the end of the day, you still got to beat them. You know, you still got to get the job done. I mean, if he lost, then we'd be talking about something else. But he had to stand in front of other guys who were qualified, who were professionals, and he had to beat them. And not only did he beat them, he did it in spectacular fashion. So I would never discredit Mike like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't either. But then when I think about it, it's like, because you were talking about prison, he started showing chinks in his armor around the Frank Bruno fight, the first one. I don't know if you remember that. Well, Frank hurt him. That was 89, I believe. And then soon after, he left Kevin, and then James Douglas happened, and then, and then he went to prison. But when he got out of prison, he was only like 28, 29. You know what I'm saying? Guys peak at different periods in their lives. Look at Bernard Hopkins. He peaked in his 40s.
The most impressive thing to me is when Mike finally hung him up, his record was 56-5. Now, that's amazing considering, again, the Don King era, which felt like really the beginning of the end, the drugs, the problems, the not being focused, only fighting really for money, heart's not in it. So can you imagine if that man stayed laser-like focused, minus all the bullshit? With the bullshit, he was 56-5.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think he has the fastest hands in heavyweight history. And people usually don't talk about him for his speed. But who do you think who had faster hands in heavyweight than Mike?
Nobody.
Not Ali? Nobody.
Ali's up there, though. He's right there.
You think he's faster?
It almost feels like a tie to me, because when Mike Tyson is on the inside and he's throwing them combinations, it's pretty damn fast. But when Ali keeps you on the is on the outside and he's dancing and throwing that jab and putting those combinations together, it looks just as fast to me as Mike.
See, to me, Mike was faster, and it because of simple physics. Tyson threw shorter punches, had shorter arms, traveling from point A to point B in shorter distance. Ali, if you remember, would whip and loop his punches. So they just take a little longer to get to the target. So that's what made me think, or made me believe, that Mike Tyson just had faster punches, because it's just the physics, how he threw the punch.
Yeah.
Tyson had those dinosaur arms and close.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, man, to me, I think Ali was like Roy Jones as a heavyweight.
I mean, nobody matched Roy Jones' speed, in my opinion.
I'm
ever.
Just saying for a heavyweight.
Right. I'm saying, do you think anybody is faster than Roy?
No. Yeah, no.
I mean, to me, what you were saying before, he was a Maserati, I think you said. To me, Roy Jones was a Lamborghini. I'm from New York, man. I don't really drive. I don't know shit about cars. But whatever fast car there is, that was Roy, and everybody else was like on just scooters, just kicking like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Roy, I hate what happened to Roy, because nobody puts him, except me, in their top 5 of all time. Nobody. Almost nobody. You there? What happened? Uh-oh. He must have got a call. Well, we'll see what happens. What do you guys think? The conversation was, as you could see in the description, who wins, Lenox or Prime Ali, or Prime Lenox? I gotta say Prime Lenox. But that's a tough one, because there's a huge size advantage. But when Aries said, which is kind of true, 3 inches isn't the biggest deal. But the way Lenox fought, like, he fought dudes who were 6'3", and he fought them tall, and they fought short. Prime Lenox, there we go. All right, what we got here? We got Lenox, Ali. What we got? Marko always simps. You back? I can't hear you. Okay. Now you're muted. Can you hear me? He looks like he's in thought. You can't hear me? I'm very confused what's happening right now. Can you hear me, Aries? Or no? Because you're muted. So I don't know what's going on here. You're confusing me. Okay. I got you. Oh, he must have got a call or something. I don't know what's happening. Oh, now we see him again. I think he's unaware of what's happening over here. All right, there he goes. He's out. All right. Well, there goes that. He said he'll call me back, I guess. I couldn't really tell what he was saying, but something along those lines. So real quick, last night, we had a robbery, right? We had a robbery, right? Virgil Ortiz should have lost that fight. Am I right or am I right? Right? He should have lost. I didn't score it, which I should, but I didn't. But from my recollection, I gave Boyachuk at least 5 or 6 rounds. Right? 5 rounds I gave him. Or 6. Now, with 5 or 6, because of the 2 knockdowns, he wins. Yeah, you're saying I didn't need to score it, but like, people always say, well, what rounds did you give them and blah, blah, blah. And they start telling, so I should have scored it. Generally with fights like this, I'll watch them over again and I'll score them. I still haven't watched the Crawford fight over again. But do you think Bud could beat both? Beat Virgil or Boyachuk? Yeah, probably. Probably. Bud would wash mouth easily. Bud needs to wash his mouth? What happened? But now the Virgil versus Bud fight has been diminished, right? We don't really care as much anymore. So that's just the way it is. I think I'm going to bounce because I don't think Aries is coming back. Busy man. But I will come back on tonight and we'll talk the Virgil versus Boyachuk robbery. It was a close fight, so maybe robbery isn't the best word because it was a close fight. I mean, do we all agree it was a close fight? Let's just go there before I sign off here. Do all you guys tell me right now, please? Do you think it was at least a close fight, or do you think it was lopsided? I didn't find it lopsided. Robbery. Well, Shake, you might have just been going for Virgil to lose. Yes, close. Close. Okay, we got 2 closes, 1 robbery. So we need a tiebreaker. Not at all. It would matter if Buds and Boots fights. How do you think Boots would do against? Nah, I was neutral. Okay. Well, then robbery can only be in a situation where it's not a close fight. This was close, so how could it really be a robbery? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway. All right, people. I'll catch you guys tonight. Peace.